Hi, this is Silas Rand, AsianCultureVulture.com. Welcome. I'm with Sendhil Ramamurthy, the star of Heroes and a new film called Brahmin. Sendhil, tell us a little bit about the film, because it's not a script that just landed on your desk and you decided to do it. So
No.
Describe the process.
This was something that the director, Mahesh Pailoor, and I have been working on really since the second season of Heroes. Mahesh came up with the idea, and he brought it to me. For the longest time, it was called the Untitled Sendhil Ramamurthy Project. He wrote it for me.
Hi, Sidharth. It's Dad. I've decided to come to LA. I'll be there all week.
Sidharth is kind of the polar opposite of me, which is why I wanted to play him. I tend to be, and I tend to play characters who are very focused and alpha male and have a definite idea of where they're going. And Sid is totally lost. He doesn't, he's a 30-something guy who's acting like a teenage kid. His marriage is falling apart, his work is falling apart, his friendships are falling apart, his relationship with his father, as we find out, is not great. And that forms the center of the film, is that relationship between Sid and Ashok, played by Roshan Seth.
Vedic philosophy, there are phases in life. You're in the second phase, work and family.
Well, I don't think we're ready for kids yet.
Why not? Everything all right in the bedroom?
I was a competitive tennis player growing up. I was nationally ranked, and I traveled all around the country playing tennis.
And you still play a lot of tennis?
Any chance, I got my rackets here right now. It came out of a conversation, me whining a lot to Mahesh about how there were no good tennis movies. There had been that movie Wimbledon, where it was, just blatantly obvious that none of those actors had ever held a tennis racket before. And I was like, I'm getting too old now. Tennis players' career ends at 27, 28. And how are we going to do this? And then he found a way to weave it into the script.
There's two very cute cats in the movie. One has a slightly unusual, it's in the beginning, is slightly cruel.
Yeah, it's the cat issue was big for me. I was just like, I'm going to lose the audience in the first 30 seconds of this film, and it's going to be a hard slog to get them back. Yeah. But it was really important to Mahesh, and he was like, trust me, in the end, it'll be okay. And we had a cat wrangler on set who took care of the cats, and no cats were harmed. No cats were harmed. It's all good. They all went home safe and sound to their kibbles and bits.
Good.
We've done the festival circuit all around the United States and Asia and Europe, and the majority of the audience has been, non-Indian. Sure. And there are a lot of people out there who have strained relationships with their parents, and a lot of parents who have strained relationships with their children, and people seem to really connect with that, regardless of what ethnicity they are.
Why do you think we don't get more films like this?
It is incredibly difficult to raise money to make these films. It took us 2 years to raise the money.
Part of you got a producer credit.
Yeah,
on this, so
yeah, that was
that a big part of it?
Yeah, it was. That's the hardest part. Is raising money for any film. It's a tough ask, and that's why you don't see film. You go to the cinema, you see it's based on a comic book or a ride at Disney World, or some movie that was made 30 years ago, or a TV series that was made 30 years ago, and I think there's an audience for it. That's why it's a shame that more of these films aren't able to be made.
The difference between Hollywood and independent movies, is it very clearly demarcated? Do you think you can manage both successfully?
You don't want to be the guy who's done 7 independent films that nobody's seen. That becomes a problem. Yeah, sure. But if you can keep your foot in both markets, commercial, this is the golden age of television. Some of the best stuff that's out there is not on movie screens. It's on your iPad or whatever, it's on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or whatever it happens to be. And so I've been lucky in that I get to do very cool little films like Brahmin, and then stick my feet into Heroes and
Yeah.
Covert Affairs, and I'm doing a series here now, Lucky Man, for Sky.
What's that about?
That is, it's based on a story idea by Stan Lee, and Carnival are making it, the guys who make Downton Abbey, and it's for Sky, and I have very limited information that I'm allowed to give out, but it's me and James Nesbitt and Sienna Gilroy and Eve Best, and it's a really cool project. It'll come out in the early part of 2016.
Okay. Tell me a little about the Heroes Reborn. That's
Yes.
coming out very shortly.
Again, very little, but Heroes Reborn. I'm reprising my role in the series in a limited capacity because of shooting Lucky Man. They're shooting Heroes in Toronto, and I'm shooting in London. So we worked out little breaks where I've been flying back and forth between London and Toronto over the summer. And I'm going to continue narrating the series as well. I'm allowed to say that. And I have no idea when it's coming out in the UK, but it premieres in the US at the end of this month.
And I understand you're kind of relocating to London. Can you
Yes,
talk about that?
yeah, just, you know, I get wanderlust. And we were in London, then went to LA for Heroes, and then we moved to New York for 5 years, and I've had enough of New York now for a bit.
Right.
So we're coming back here.
Coming back here.
Yeah.
Coming back home.
Coming back home. It feels like home. I have a home here.
How do you find the difference between like Indian Americans and British Asians like myself?
I find no, there's a definite difference. I find that there's British Asians on the whole. I find seem to be a little less assimilated than Indian Americans, and there seems to be it's a point of pride to do that. And whereas in the States, it seems like the Indian Americans, it's a point of pride to assimilate and to be Americans,
right.
And so that's I guess that's probably the big difference that I
We're a
see.
little bit insular, a little bit too.
I don't know if it's insular. I think it's just it's a different worldview. I think that it's for whatever reason, it seems like the Indians who came to the UK seem to have held on more tightly to India, and it seems less. And I think that there's advantages and disadvantages to both. I think it can be too much in the U.S. where you're just like, oh, I'm American and nothing to do with India, and then it can also go the other way where it's just like, well, we're living in the U.K. but we're fully Indian and that's it, and we're just living here. So I think that there's a balance to be struck somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Sendhil, thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come on.